Welcome to episode 19 of the Global Exclusive Podcast. I'm your host, Hazard. Joining me this week is Bharos, Katans,
What?
Driam,
This is what we're doing.
Moose Spell. Dang it, I couldn't even say it poorly.
Americans get to choose how to pronounce things.
And Shudda Walker.
Okay, I'll take it.
Oh, this week we've got Final Fantasy 13-2 with a banner of Serah, Noel, and another lightning to haunt my nightmares. But this one's actually pretty good, and we'll get to that. We'll also talk about the Chocobo trial that just came out, and we'll also, unfortunately, talk about the results of the DV competition between us and the winner's chosen topic for the night.
I can't wait.
Yeah,
Oh boy.
yeah. All right, and Cotton has our sponsor this week.
This episode is sponsored by something called a really, really bad idea. Remember when you started talking about things and you think, oh, you know what? It's a very good idea to do a DV competition. Why not? Why don't we all just do it? Turns out it actually is a really, 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 really bad idea. So, listen.
You could have beaten him, Cotton. It's your fault.
I have principles.
No, it's all of your fault because I voted no on this competition.
It is called principles, okay? I will not lower myself to using an omnipresent on Xuan Wu or redacted. Anyway, back to the advertisement. This episode is sponsored by Bharos' bad idea. Or by Bharos. Or just bad ideas in general. Thank you for listening and goodbye.
Is Bharos synonymous with bad ideas?
And that's the end of the episode.
Cue the Chocobo song.
Okay, tinfoil hat on.
People die when they're killed.
Imagine letting Dream talk. Imagine.
Oh my god, Hazard, you sweet summer child.
Yeah, the Chocobo song's actually quite on point this week with the trial we got, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
The Chocobo song is dead.
That's true, we killed it.
Why?
Killed the Chocobo.
Why?
I actually
And
really
all
enjoy
its
it.
babies, too.
Why?
This is worse than the Moogle King raid we had to do.
No, you see,
Yeah.
the Moogle King deserves it. He's selling Moogles, for God's sake. He's selling his own people. We are killing innocent chocobos now.
Yeah, and his prices are fucking insane. That dick deserves
Holy
it.
crap, he is a Moogle trafficker. I just realized you make a good point.
Or he's just like hiring them out.
Right.
Rise up against the Moogle.
No,
Like, that's
because
even better.
I imagine
Just
our
terrible.
units are
Wait.
eating
Does
the
that
Moogles.
make the Moogle King a pimp?
Yeah, I was just saying, does he have a
yes.
feather hat and a big coat?
No, seriously, because how do you think a unit consumes a Moogle?
They
Yeah.
eat it.
They just
Yes,
bite down
they
on
eat
it.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Same with cactus.
I don't think that we're eating cactuars. They're cactuars. They have spikes.
Yeah,
No,
we
but,
love
I mean,
the
I
crotch.
think that's how it works. Like, it's either eating them or shoving them up their butt for like extra effect. Oh, that's a great success. You know, because like you know the thing where you like.
Okay, and this is
Oh,
where
why are we
Lemon,
not-
hang on.
Lemon
but
should mute
come on.
Bharos, okay?
You all know
this is
you
where
all
Lemon
know
should
about, like, you
bleep
know,
out
dip-
Bharos.
So this week we have 3 new units. And the first new unit is Serah.
Hold on. One quick point about just both Serah and Noel is I feel like they have the shortest unit names we've had in months.
Oh,
I know,
So
that's what I
tell
was
me
thinking.
about
for that.
it.
There's no titles or like bracketed series text. It's just Serah and Noel, and it's beautiful.
The first unit is Lightning's beloved sister Serah.
You had to. I like to reference it as Snow's ex-girlfriend, Serah.
Why are you saying ex-girlfriend? I thought she was
I
still.
feel like half of us don't get this.
I thought she was still his girlfriend, but they're just like Snow went on this trip, and yeah, right?
I will end it there then. No, Serah as a unit is pretty interesting in that she does big damage. Except her big burst would only come out for one of the units because of how Esper gauges work.
Yeah,
Yep.
so you
And
kind
that
of
is
average
super
them.
annoying. Yeah.
Still, at least like it's just a same regular chain, so like the one who doesn't get the Esper gauge can just still chain with it fine and use like a regular triple cast. But yeah, it's a bit awkward.
I mean, like then it means that you need to modify her burst because like you can't just look at it flat out like you look at other units burst. Like you look at Odin Reagan, you see, oh wow, that's a big burst, but you know that both units are bursting on that turn, so you're actually getting twice
so
that number.
That's why, at least for our or the wiki spreadsheet in the calc I did, basically averaged the turn of the Serah using the Esper move and the one who's just using a regular triple cast for that turn.
Hey, so did I.
Almost like that's the logical thing to do.
It's almost, yeah.
So damage wise, Serah lands a little bit, basically right on par with Bahamut Fina, which is
Yeah, so she's in around like the number 2 mage spot.
yeah. I mean, this is another one of those units. Not really anything worth pulling for on her own. She's not bad, but unless you just need a damage dealer, not a good choice to spend your lapis on.
And we're going to bring this up, I think, every week there's a new mage, but unless they fix the AoE chaining thing not being casted in DV, it's really hard to say this is a good mage to pull
bad.
off.
Unless they start making Stardust Ray mages.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least like make mages that have a chainer and finisher kit. It's not that difficult really. Like that's what we should be getting really for mages. So
I mean, really,
give
for,
her a
for
one
the
hit
cast
big burst
cancelling,
ability.
For the cast cancelling, they just a bunch of the future mages are just single target.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but that also kind of, I don't know, that's so weird because like mages' roles have always been being AoE. So now all of a sudden we're forcing them to be single target to fix this other bug, which is that casts break. I think like do the Christine treatment, do the Lulu treatment. Just give them also a hard hitting single target ability that they can use when they need to like burst really hard, like on DV or on other bosses where you get support chains.
That's too complicated for Alan, though.
Really is.
Maybe not for Gumi, but for Alum it is.
Yeah.
I have a question. Why do her abilities use the Esper gauge? Like, is there a law reason for it? Because I did not play Final Fantasy 13.
I think it's.
I do not want to touch Final Fantasy 13.
That's very lore based.
I have not played 13.2, but in Final Fantasy 13, Espers were kind of like a big deal in the game. Each unit was paired with an Esper and you like summoned them a lot in combat, I think. So it could just be a reference to that.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, Cotton and Dream, you guys know, because I showed you Vanille's Gestalt mode animation video.
Nope, and the next unit is Noel.
Wait. I have two comments on this. Number one is, why is Kate Sith in Final Fantasy 13 too?
That's a Moogle, isn't it?
I think.
What?
Does 13.2 have like some minion summoning something or other? Because I think I once heard it described as like 13 plus Pokemon. So I feel like maybe there's like summoned minion battlings, and that's probably where the summoning gauge thing comes in as well.
This is interesting.
Yeah, you definitely have summoned minions in 13 too.
There's an enemy named Kate Sith in 13.2. He's not the same as Kate Sith from Final Fantasy VII. He's just also named after the mythological Kate Sith.
Well, Sarah's also got an ability that in parentheses says Kate Sith to it. It's cheer.
Yeah, it doesn't look anything like the FF7 Kate Sith.
She has several of these abilities. Like each of them references a unit from Final Fantasy 13-2. She has like Kate Sith, Amon Jakov, Typhon, whatever, Pulse Knight,
and Mage.
I mean, have you seen the Final Fantasy 13 Espers? They don't look like the regular Final Fantasy Espers either.
Yeah, although you don't use Espers in Final Fantasy 13-2, if I remember correctly. It was a long time ago, but like the units you use in combat that you get to actually grow and stuff, they are monsters, I think.
Yeah, they look like monsters that are summoned.
I'm pretty sure.
So maybe this reflects the fact that Serah is using monsters to fight for her. I don't know.
Probably something along those lines.
Another slave owner.
It's those skills that cost orbs.
Yikes.
We're 2 for 2 now. First the Moogle King, and now Serah. People just oppressing others. Also, she kind of looks like a character from Star Ocean.
Huh, that's an interesting reflection, actually. And I agree.
Because I've never played 13-2 or 13, but
Yeah, I was super worried about Serah in 13 too, because like her legs are literal like sticks. I thought she was gonna just fall over and die whenever. Oh yeah, but nobody played 13-2, so you don't know what I'm talking about.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just talking to himself.
So the next unit in the banner, and that was potentially more interesting, was Noel.
Yeah, Noel fills a really important gap because something that we've really needed in FFBE is a triple casting AT chainer with dragon killers. There aren't any good ones. There's I mean, and unless you count the good ones that we just got last month, there aren't any good ones.
Oh, can you please tell me more about how Noel fills a gap?
And moving on to the next unit.
Noel still has an added benefit of bursting really early. Well, not really. He bursts hard, rather.
He bursts disgustingly hard.
At turn 4 he still bursts harder than Roggen ever does, and at turn 9 he bursts harder than most finishers ever would.
Oh, so he fills that gap and bursts.
3 times his average damage.
Bharos,
his max burst.
shut up.
And like in theory, he can do it for multiple elements too, as long as you have his STMR. So it's
or just really good gear, because like his trust passive, like his trust master is locked to water, but his trust passive is just like attack, so you can potentially make it up.
Yeah, and that requires a lot of
gear.
STMRs.
Yeah, so in general, like he's definitely favors water unless you have his STMR, which is weird when he has both water and ice.
That's why he's so interesting, because he bursts really hard. They fixed
Shadow, zip your pants up. Jesus.
Yeah, can we stop talking about his burst, because Bharos is having an episode over here.
Okay, and you know what? I actually think that 13-2 is the better game over 13. It's prequel, but it has to be really, really fucking unmemorable, because I was looking at the banner and I'm like, Serah, yeah, that's the protagonist. And who the fuck is Noel? And then I realized, oh yeah, that's the other protagonist in the game. I literally don't remember him. I guess it speaks a lot about his character in the game being like so fucking flat, but
so he's like Wrestler.
Who the fuck is Wrestler?
Random unit we got is Ash's husband that dies in like the first 10 seconds.
Wrestler literally exists in like one cutscene, and he dies in that same cutscene.
It's the opening cutscene, I'm pretty sure.
Who Wrestler is. He's Patriotic Recall.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I was kidding. He is Yuna's betrothed. Yuna. What the fuck? I'm wrong name. It just says just how memorable FF12 is, Shadow.
Ash.
I'm so sorry. Whatever the protagonist of FF12 is called.
Got him.
And it's not Van.
Noel's sustained damage is lower than Regan's because he has that high burst. In Dark Vision, since we're getting the scoring change to be based on... We're not getting penalized for turns anymore, it's just based on damage taken. So you actually do have the time to set him up however long you need, as long as the boss doesn't do something really nasty every 3 or 5 turns or whatever.
Or you accidentally kill him.
So if you care about DV, that's maybe worth it. But if you don't, he's another unit, just not really a significant upgrade.
Yeah, I'm gonna say with it, we don't know when we're gonna get the turn count reduction. Second,
no, it's
they announced it last. It's in the news.
My bad. So we're actually getting it. That's nice.
It'll be the next.
They literally announced it on during maintenance, and I found that so stupid. Like, yes, this DV's over. Now we can finally announce save and load and turn changes.
Okay, but we also know that it's coming back.
I'm guessing it's because they weren't ready for the app update.
Like Cesar said, it comes back a couple of times again. The turn change, right?
I don't think so. No, I think JP removed 2 of them and then added a different 2. But I think the turn count was
okay.
Maybe turn count is the one that comes back.
I remember Cesar saying something like that it did return briefly once or something.
What he explained it was that in JP there were lots of people that ranked really high that did it before because of the turn count change. So Aelin brought it back for one, and then they took it out again or something. Okay. So it's been.
I think from what I saw, they like swapped out 2 of them. and one of them was turn count, and then after 2 Dark Visions events, one of them got swapped back to one of the old ones, but I don't remember exactly which ones got swapped back. This is probably very confusing to listen to.
We are also so close to having much stronger units as well, so I'm really not gonna say this is worth pulling for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
I think unless you're a whale who is specifically concerned about next month's TV and not necessarily about the ones after that, this is an easy skip, and that's true of almost every damage dealer banner.
But what if you're a whale? Noel's STMR is actually really good. Like I'm honestly loving it.
It's stupid good.
Well, again, it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's one of those rare high attack killer STMRs that I have 0 of. Fuck you, game.
Yeah. Talk to me about DV changes when they don't make you do 15 separate trials in a week's time.
Yeah, that would also be really fucking nice, actually. That would be very nice.
That'll come eventually. It reduces to 11.
I think Cotton wants to say something.
Cotton, do you want to say something, Cotton?
But talking about...
I don't know, it doesn't really sound like it.
Yeah, it sounds like she doesn't want to say anything.
All right, let's move on to the next unit then.
Like, do we have technical issues? Like, does anyone else hear Cotton?
Dark Visions for Noel's burst. Like, I don't think that you will want to store until turn 4 anyway, because going by the attack pattern of our previous 2 Dark Visions, the boss does a lot of nasty stuff on turn 3. You don't want to give the boss a chance to use turn 3, so Noel won't be able to use his big turn 4 burst.
Well, it depends. Like, you might actually get a better score even surviving through turn.
No, like the boss, like, not necessarily. Like, for example, Tetra starts doing stuff like uncountable AoE magic, killers.
I mean, not necessarily the 3-5 bosses. Those ones can be nasty, but some of the other stages maybe.
Like, even some
like
for
the
some of the
3/3
others,
boss that gives
because...
himself physical mitigation after turn 1. Screw that guy.
But like, I'm looking at, like, from my
That guy
experience, a
pisses
lot of
me
the
off.
bosses do like a
The
big
whole thing does.
Imperial on turn 2. So in order to survive turn 3, you actually need to gear your units for much more element resistance, which might or might not affect your damage, so it might not be worth stalling until
Well, it's
turn 4
definitely
burst.
designed that way, that like it's they want you to finish by turn 3, also because that also premieres you pulling for the high end damage dealers, right? So it kind of incentivizes pulling. But it's definitely those type of mechanics.
Dream wants to say something?
Yeah,
Hey, Dream,
I
do
was
you want
just
to say
gonna
something?
Oh boy, I sure do. I was just going to say that I found the clarification on the DV changes, and basically turns taken is removed permanently
Oh, okay.
by
Nice.
JP. Damage taken was removed for 2 events in JP, and it looks like they're just going to not make that change for us at all, because it was at the same time as turns taken being removed. So I think that was the thing that Sensei was saying, that when both of them were gone, it was really easy to get max score for a lot of people. So they've just removed turns taken, but kept damage taken for us.
Yeah, obviously. Like, then you can just sit there and wait. Jesus, yeah, that'd be horrible. I mean, damage taken needs to be a thing, so you have this interesting trade-off. How many turns can you wait? Because what Cotton is saying is still true. The boss is going to start doing damage to our
It still
team
makes
after a
preemptives a
certain
pain in the
turn.
ass.
I think for the damage taken thing, it would be more reasonable if there weren't bosses that randomly chose whether or not to use non-elemental magic.
Look, damage
Oof, yeah.
taken...
If they
fuck that
always
shit.
did it,
Oh,
or if
yeah.
they never did it, that's fine. But if it's random, that's just
Look,
annoying.
damage taken is basically, if you have Scissor, congrats, you have a low score. If not, screw you.
Yeah, that sucks. Like on the last stage, I just had to do everything T1 because I would get a shit score if I tried anything else. And I think that I mean, I think damage taken is fine though, because it is a trade-off. But I think the preemptive attacks, those are the real Satan's work in DV. Because it takes so long to gear your team for full resistance as well as damage, and then you lose so much damage, and it just feels terrible all around.
Well, this was a great discussion about Noel. So let's move on.
Thanks for listening to the Dark Visions exclusive podcast.
Okay, I have one last question. Is Noel related to White Knight Noel by any chance?
No.
Surprisingly not.
All right, moving on. The most interesting unit of this week's, I guess, release was actually Lightning from FF13 Type 2.
You sure it's not Hope?
2. Because...
You sure it isn't Hope?
She's a magic tank.
It's actually
She's
really
a
good
magic
tank.
and she's actually slightly better than Charlotte. And I don't know if people saw, but Sinzar released a
Situational.
video of him beating the recent Chocobo trial with only the free units released in the last few months. And she was an exceptional magic tank in this trial. So, just food for thought.
She is really good.
Yeah, I think we've said this with almost every one of the new Mod King units, but Lightning is once again the best one yet.
Yeah. I think even like looking at the future though, Lightning and Machina are the two real standouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Breakers and tanks are just so important, especially tanks. For anyone that's been lacking a good magic tank, Lightning is maybe the second best magic tank in the game.
I agree. Like
behind Murkronza.
Yes, that's the best tank in the game.
Like if we take out Cecil because he's an she's an outlier, she has to be
broken.
Just wait till they do it at the Olympics. Now I know this guy won first place, but let's take him out because he's an outlier. So you get the gold.
This guy is just too good. He can't compete. Like we can't let this person compete.
No, but honestly, like for Dark Visions, if you don't have Cecil, Lightning is the next best choice. I mean, turn 1, she can mitigate 70% magic damage to herself. Turn 2, she mitigates 80 magic damage to herself. Like, so she's actually, if you can find someone, an outside source of general mitigation, which is quite easy if you use Oran's TMR, you give Oran's TMR to someone else and cast a buff on Lightning, she actually will take very little damage during the first 2 turns of DV.
Wait. How many people actually have Oran's TMR? I do, but that's like...
I mean, everyone that has played the game over a month.
I freaking moved.
She can
I googled it last DV, okay? I was desperate.
Wow.
So, Lightning can dual cast cover and provoke, which is useful for a few different reasons. First off, it's great for new players that don't have limited passive draw gear, because most tanks cannot reach passive 100% provoke without limited gear. There's like 4 units that can. We talked about this last week. Anyways, but because Lightning can dual cast cover and provoke, she can get that on turn 1. Second, in DV, this means that she doesn't have to gear for passive provoke if you want her to solo tank, which gives her more room to use like 2 dodge accessories or get more resist slotted in instead of needing that passive provoke gear. Because most tanks you would have to pick, you would have to give them Moogle Charm or something and then have them cover.
Yeah.
But she just does them both on turn 1. Third, on turn 1, she actually handles like almost every aspect of survivability buffs for herself. Her provoke gives her physical mitigation. Her cover cooldown also provides huge magic mitigation. She automatically buffs herself with spirit and 20% general mitigation on turn 1. And like not individually, aside from the magic mitigation, none of these things are super high. But the fact that she handles all of them at once means that she's a lot less reliant on external support to survive turn 1, just because you give her a break and she's probably going to be completely fine, even if you don't have the best gear. Even if she's solo.
And this is one of those cases where her TMR isn't absolutely garbage either for new players. Like for the last few MK events, I've been telling people, like for example, Kadash was a good free unit, but his TMR is absolutely garbage. But the thing is, this unit, her TMR and STMR are actually pretty decent. Like they're, even for me, like I really want that TMR. It's a 20% HP and 40% to both defense and SPR, which is really useful. And her sword is the only other source of like good spirit SPR sword other than the one that we got last year with the Charlotte event. So it's like
Cecil's STMR is better.
Yeah, but if you have Cecil, you won't use her, okay?
Well, it's a non-free STMR.
Yeah, and if you have Cecil, you're not using Lightning. But this is like this is the highest SPR of any non-STMR item, I think. Well, I mean, it is STR, but it's a free item. So
to be fair, I'll probably use it on Cecil because he doesn't get starves naturally.
Well, if you look at Cecil's TMR, it's 30% HP and then 30% spirit. It's 60%, but you have to wear 2 different things. I think this one's on par with that. It's very, very close. 80% defensive stats and 20% HP. It's pretty nice. I mean, it's for a free unit. It's going on my tank.
Yeah.
For free unit, she is awesome.
It's all good. it's all good.
Yeah, and there is one really interesting aspect of lightning as well that we haven't mentioned yet, and that's that. So unfortunately, she only has one family to chain with as her support chains, but it is a really good family because it's absolute mirror of equity, meaning that if you pair lightning with a machina as your breaker, you're actually going to have support chains on literally every turn except the turns that lightning needs to
Or
refresh or
Riku
cover.
even.
And she can dual cast it, which a lot of tanks can't do with her support chains.
Exactly.
And if you bring her with Radiant Lightning, you can chain them with each other, and then you have Chain Lightning.
How long were you sitting on that one?
Wow. Also, these are unique skills only, so you can't dual cast the same ability, but she has two different abilities with Absolute Mirror of
AT
Equity.
chaining.
So you just have to
Yeah.
select
And
one of each.
all you need her to do is build a chain, so it's super nice because like then you can slot in these really high damage bursters instead. You can have like the cloud meme where you kind of do his LB every turn and just destroy everything.
It also comes with 80% lightning imperil as well, and it's AoE. It's really nice.
I think she has 100%.
She has 100%
lightning
on a
imperil
cooldown,
on
and she
the
can
cooldown.
maintain that.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
and
on
so
the chain.
because of that, she pairs really nice. I mean, just because of the lightning imperils in general that she has, be it 80 or 100, she also pairs really nice with Riku, who can do that AoE lightning imbue, and then also chain double absolute mirror.
Her kit is really loaded, and I think there could be a theory, I guess, that at one point she wasn't a free unit, but then they decided to give her as a free unit instead, because like if you adjust some of these numbers a bit, she could just be a regular banner unit. As in,
I mean, even if you didn't, I would not bat an eye if she was on the banner instead of Serah. And honestly, I might even pull for her. Well, probably not since I have Cecil, but she's
Keep
very
rubbing it
good.
in our faces.
Yeah.
You wonder if
But
Serah
I
was
guess
originally
if
meant to
we
be the
wanna-
free unit.
If we want to talk a bit more about just the comparison between Sacred Shield Charlotte, the main things that she doesn't have compared to Charlotte is that her her limit burst doesn't apply cover like Charlotte's does. It just does the 50% general mit, which in some situations would be a positive, but I think more often it's probably a slight downgrade because that's part of like Charlotte. That action efficiency can be a big help from Charlotte sometimes, especially after like a dispel on your team. You can cover plus mitigate in one turn.
Yeah.
Which Lightning can't do. And then she also just doesn't have that magic mit buff for the team for like uncoverable magic attacks, which will be becoming more common. So there's a couple of trade-offs, but she is really, really good, and in quite a few situations possibly better than Charlotte.
Also, I don't think it's that weird that we got just Machina and Lightning as really strong free units. To be honest, okay, tinfoil hat on, but it's obvious that the main revenue for a gacha game is the damage dealers, right? And what better way of having your people focus on pulling the newest and freshest damage dealers is by giving them a strong enough tank and breaker to have in their kit. And then just let them focus on pulling these insane deeps instead.
That kind of makes sense.
That's my thought.
I guess, and
oh, fuck
I
you,
think-
asshole!
I think Alim. I think Alim at this point was like, there was a lot of the flack, I guess, for the first free MK unit was Garland. That was trash. And then
No,
there
wait,
were a few.
he wasn't the first free?
He was
Pretty
in
sure
JP. He was the first
in JP
free.
at
Yeah.
least.
In JP,
Okay,
was the
because
free
we
one.
got Gentiana, right?
Yeah, we got Gentiana in the middle. That's the first one. And Gentiana was an improvement in JP, right? Because she did some damage. She changed with the relevant family.
Oh, she
It
did more
wasn't-
damage than
not terrible.
Terra.
It wasn't like Hein or Zande where we were confused which one was the free unit. So
Hein was supposed to be the free unit on this banner.
Hey, Hein has 50% general mitigation. I remember a gentleman arguing that he should be really highly rated because of that.
I didn't say he should be highly rated. I said he should be rated better than he would be as a chainer because his chaining was shit.
Yeah, I don't know who made that argument, but he's a little knuckle
People, this is
dragger.
a global
Yeah.
exclusive shade podcast versus the troll shade at each other.
but yeah, I think we sucked on Lightning too much. We can move on to the
We
next
sucked
topic.
on Lightning?
What
Stop
the
giving
hell?
him ammo.
Who says that? Like, that can't
Shut
be a
up,
thing.
Aaron.
You just offended Bharos. That is, I thought, was impossible.
Like, we were sucking off Lightning too long. Let's move on. What the fuck, Shadow?
My life is complete. I've offended Bharos.
I'm not gonna be able to run for
I
president.
never
one
knew
day.
that was
He's more
possible.
You just
intrigued
Alright.
confused
than
me.
offended.
Anyway, we're done with units,
So,
right?
birds, am I right?
Yeah, we killed some birds this week.
Wait, are we not
Yeah, I
talking
actually haven't
about
yet.
Noel? Are we not talking about Hope?
What?
No, he's a 4-star.
No one talks about 4 stars. Come
No,
on.
no. Hope
Yeah,
is a
but he does this-
5-star.
An AoE 70% full break on his limit burst while with a 150% stat buff.
Have fun at the start of the fight.
You mean you don't have Sylvie? Who doesn't have Sylvie?
I don't.
Yeah, but if you have Sylvie, don't waste
all
a team
seriousness,
slot
the
on
fact-
Noel.
The fact that Hope can buff killers for Beast and Machina, for Beast and Machines, and he can do buffs and breaks, he could technically have very niche applications in DV, but realistically probably not. Anyways, moving on to the birds.
I realized that trying to do the bird trial, I didn't have a single bird killer materia. And the only bird killer source of bird killer I had was actually bows. So
Well, we
that
got
was interesting.
Muramasa and
Isn't bird killer
You can
craftable?
craft
Rising
Bird
Sun.
Killer.
Yeah, there isn't great sources of it. There's no plus materia for it.
Yeah,
You can
it's
craft.
craftable. And
Yeah.
But it's really easy to get to 300%. You use the Bird Killer or the Rising Sun trial reward and Muramasa another trial reward, and that plus Tetra will get you 250.
guess what? Edward can't equip katanas.
No, but the better units, the Dane
You
can.
just use Jiraiya.
Oh, sorry, katanas. I meant throwing weapons. You want the Rising Sun.
You just use Jiraiya.
Well, actually,
TMR.
that's true, but also Fenrir Adele or Untamed Wolf Adele is actually really, really well made for this trial
Yeah,
because she can quit both.
I mean, like, the killer gearing isn't great, but the real slaughterer of this trial is 4 Winds for Salus, because, she has some innate killer, 100% active bird killer buff. So even though I couldn't cap her out passively, she effectively had 350% in battle.
Nice.
Yeah, when a mage has huge innate killers, the usual drawback is of mages, which is that they don't have good killers, that kind of goes away, and they actually become very competitive or potentially better than
You don't
physical
say
units.
when you remove the weakness, it becomes a strength.
The weakness goes away.
There's some real eye-opening statements going on in this episode so
Yeah.
far.
People die when they're killed.
So I haven't done
Not
this
all.
trial yet because I had a crazy week this week. So how did you guys do? Like, did you do it on a few turns? Did you how does it work?
You
I
see
killed
birds,
it in
you bring
5
AoE
turns.
damage, you kill bird.
Yeah, bring AoE, because they, it has some, mechanics that I feel like are nicely designed, like they enrage as their friends die and stuff. Yeah, it's a bit grim, but
So did you all
it-
use
it's
two-stack?
nice design.
Did you all also use two-stack Mirage?
I did.
Yes.
I did, because with 2-stack Mirage, Magic Cover, and Evade Provoke, it felt very safe to me. I, didn't see much damage at
Well,
all.
depends. If you're using Cecil, you don't see much damage. If you don't use Cecil, please defend when you hit the big bird thresholds because they nearly killed Chow. No, they actually did kill Chow.
It was
Who's
a level
using
that I-
Chow for a trial? Come on.
The person who didn't pull for
I mean,
Cecil, you will understand, Bharos. Oh wait, no, you pull for every single new unit.
Imagine
no, I
letting
don't
Dream
have
talk.
Cecil, of course.
Imagine.
Yeah, but I'd see some take 3k per turn, so even with a regular tank, that should be pretty manageable. So I don't know what you guys were doing wrong.
I was just hoping to not have to bring Kimari and
You don't
use-
have to. As someone who hasn't brought
It
Kamari,
is nice.
my
though.
team was Cecil, Kryla, Eurasia, 2 Edwards, and Aiden. And you don't feel the need for a dual stack Mirage if your chainers are strong enough. And Edward is innately pretty tanky. He has a lot of wind resist anyways. My Edward himself had 1700 health and 600 defense and 400 SPR. And I took a friend Edel, actually, instead of a second Edward, because I couldn't find your Edward Cotton or Dreams.
Huh.
So I
Mine's still set up for Cacto.
I took Sinzar's Edel and I beat it in 7 turns. 7 turns.
Okay.
One thing that happens is that if you don't take Kamari, it actually really opens up one slot to anything. And I took Eurasia because she has 120% imperils and to wind. So I did Eurasia and they chunked down the birds.
they're
so
not
hard.
super bulky, because I was I sort of started to say it and then got sidetracked, but this is a trial that feels like it has some cool mechanics and nice design that's just undermined by not being tanky enough to sort of really see them properly. It just sort of dies quite quickly. Like, I think the two chocobos that could be spirit breaked, or at least the two that I landed spirit breaks on, because they have like 50% break resist on the small ones, so you don't really need a breaker, but Celis like sort of does it anyway as part of her setup. So like two of them, the two that got breaked died in one turn, and then the other two died the next turn, and Fat Chocobo died the third turn. And the only reason the fat one didn't die on turn 4 was because I didn't notice it cleared Imperils off itself.
Body shaming
Wow, Dream, you're
chocobos.
such a whale.
So they're not really tanky.
No, I think for the Chocobo Chow, it's easier to not break them because you want all of them to die at once. And if you have breaks, you're going to kill the small ones first before the big ones, which the big ones gets enraged faster.
Yeah, a breaker is very skippable on this trial.
I have a planned comp for this trial. I have a planned comp, I just haven't had time to test it. But I'm gonna use Evade Provoke Serena again as my healer. That's such a good unit. Such a good unit. Gumi, listen to me. You promised us Dragon Quest being buffed up to the meta when the time has come. The time fucking came 3 months ago, Gumi. 3 months ago the time came. Come on.
But anyway, I would say that the Chocobo Chow has one of the more interesting Chow rewards because one of the rewards is actually a physical type Stardust Ray chain, which means you have even more support chaining options for the next Dark Visions.
I don't know. I really like the cloth that they gave out. So, or was it light armor? I'm not sure, but I think
Light armor, yeah.
I don't have any light armor that has attack. So this is like, I don't have any of the STMRs that gave it either. So.
Wait, don't you have the
Catastrophic Vest?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so one catastrophic vest. That's it. I'm talking about sources of other TMR. So
hey guys. I have an important question. What's the plural of anus? Is it ani?
What does that even have to do with this, Bharos?
No. I have a point
Just
with this.
ignore him.
No. What is the plural? Is it anuses?
I know the answer and I refuse to tell you.
So, because I wanted to ask, like...
Use the power of the internet.
Have you prepared your anuses? Because we really need to move into the next segment, which is the winner's choice topic.
You know what? Let's keep talking about these
Yeah, I
chocobos
know.
for another
The
time.
Chocobo Chow does sound a lot
no.
better.
So, I want to say, Bharos really misunderstood the terms of the bet. Because the winner gets to choose the topic. But there was nothing in there about the winner getting to assign us homework where we read erotic fanfic, which is what Bharos tried to make us do.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a topic to me, because okay, first of all, this is a Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, whatever.
Talk about it on the podcast, but if you send me some kind of weird Noel fanfic where he bangs, I don't even know
No,
who.
He bangs nobody.
Can someone please say, wait, you got a fanfic?
Unfortunately, I think we all got one.
Damn it.
All right, just to be clear, if you guys didn't hear, because we didn't announce it, but Bharos is the winner of this DV competition, followed closely by Cotton and Muspel and Dream, and then me and Shadow were playing for last place.
I mean, I was sort of like halfway in between the top bracket and 5
So
and
for our
6.
listeners, Shadow is going to sound like a chipmunk this week. We're not hearing it while we're recording, but during editing, Shadow is going to be changed to sound like a chipmunk.
For the whole
Yeah,
episode?
that would be funny.
I mean, yeah, right.
We'll see.
That's up to Lemon.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
At least like half.
I mean, does it have to be a chipmunk? Couldn't there be like a voice filter that makes him sound like a bull in heat?
Nope, I know where this is going. Nope.
Like, like... every time Shadow speaks, that's what you hear.
Bharos, are you talking about mating koala?
Oh, is that how mating koalas sound?
They grunt.
What?
I mean,
That would be an excellent,
I know
actually.
Bharos is bad at reading terms and conditions, but we did specifically say that the last place penalty was chipmunk voice.
Okay, too bad.
So we're safe.
But mating koala now, like, I need to look up these videos of mating koalas.
Of course you do.
Hey, at least I
it's
distracted
biology.
Bharos.
Listen,
I distracted
I
him,
want to
alright?
get educated.
Thanks for listening this far into the Global Explosive Podcast. You made it! Before we move on to the next section, I have to give a special disclaimer for the upcoming content. It contains explicit and generally degenerate stuff that may or may not be suitable for younger kids, pregnant people, or those with weaker stomachs. You are being warned. Alright, enjoy.
So my topic of choice was to, there are actually some really, I was actually surprised. So my goal was, hey, let's find something that's FFBE, but also that's going to be fun. But then I thought, okay, but nobody writes fanfics for Exvius because everyone fucking hates this game. It's absolute ass. Then I realized, no, that's not true at all. There's a ton of really, really good fanfics. And, of course, I chose a bit more of the racy kind for the podcast to just spice things up a bit. So, who wants to, go first? I really hope Hazard wants to go first because I really liked his fanfic.
So I have a question. Did anybody actually read what Bharos sent them?
I hope to God you did.
No.
Otherwise,
I saw the
otherwise
text and I saw that it was 8,200 words, and I decided not to.
Listen,
yours was that long.
dis-
I think mine was like 1 page, and even then I didn't read it.
You're
Mine was 44
disappointing
pages.
our listeners.
All right, 44.
No, we are saving our listeners.
No, you're not. You're
Yes.
disappointing them. We had an agreement. Not like, okay, Muspel, you're just gonna have to read your out loud now with your best
Nope.
storyteller voice.
Again, that was not the bet. The bet was that you got to choose a topic. You don't get to make us read things or recite them.
If our listeners really want to read them, I'm sure they can come into our Discord and ping Bharos, and he will happily send it to them.
Oh, come on. You're ruining my
I want to
segment.
note, though, that if Bharos tries to link those in the actual podcast channel instead of in PMs, I will mute him.
Hey, first of all, they're actually really nice. Some of you guys got really nice ones. Like, I think Shadow, you got a super romantic one. Do you want to tell us about yours? Can't you start? It was really nice. I actually read all of them.
mention,
Let's go, Shadow.
what they were about.
Disclaimer here, apparently Barrow sent Dream the worst one, so I'm
Oh
sorry
yeah,
for
I
you,
think Dream
Dream.
should read it.
Oh,
I think
boy.
Dream should
We
read
can
it.
save
I'm not
that
sure
for
Dream
last.
got the worst
No,
one.
we can
Like,
save
I
that for
think Dream
last.
and Hazard got really, or I'm not gonna say worse. They got just interesting ones, and Shadow got like. So let's start out slow. Shadow, give us your romantic story that you read.
Oh, do I read it?
No, you don't read it. You have like just.
Okay, how
Just
about
say,
I
like,
read
the
the summary?
tags.
There's a 1-paragraph summary of it.
Yeah. Read the summary. Read the summary. To us,
Every
yes.
time Rain is asked to think about choosing a wife, he replies that he will do once Laswell finds his own. But when Sakura and Nicole ask him why, he's not so sure about what to say, and no one has a clue of where that question will lead young kings of Aldor. Not even Rain himself. And so the tags are post season 2, Rain is dense AF, Rain proposes to Laswell, Laswell X Rain, male on male. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, it's just a very beautiful romantic story. Okay, because there is this very passionate kiss that happens towards the very end. Can you tell us a bit about that, Shadow? Because I'm sure you read it.
I didn't read it.
Oh my God, you all are assholes. Nobody actually read a fanfic.
No, but let's be honest, okay?
And you didn't read
when
the
it comes
rules
to
of the bet.
when it comes to the Final Fantasy FFBE story, that Lid and Jake are the ones with the most straight relationships. Okay, other than that,
Folka.
it's like a tangle of relationships everywhere.
Wait,
Okay,
isn't
can
like.
Can we talk about Lid and Jake's relationship? Because I have very serious problems with that.
Wait, there is also like doesn't Citra and Folka also, both of them want Nickel, right?
Well, Folka had a
Yes.
dead husband, and her ancestors are still her well, not ancestors. Her what's the word for that?
Descendants.
Her descendants are alive. So theoretically, Folka had a working relationship. Eurasia did too.
And Nicole is one of her descendants, so that's also problematic.
Yeah.
Yes, that's problematic in a very big way.
I mean, you could get the whole thing that, like, it's 700 years, like, genetic
Yeah.
divergence.
Yeah, but it's
there is
also very much
and
like
whatnot, but who
Oh
cares?
no,
It's still
step
weird.
brother, I am stuck story.
I mean, FFB actually has a surprising amount of like
Anyway,
canon ships that work. Like disregarding Jake
Yeah.
and Lid because that's so weird. And it's Japan, what the
that-
fuck?
that's really weird.
But like there's the Eurasia and her husband's story. Oregano's story.
Chizuru and Jiraiya.
It's not Rain and Laswell. It's Rain and Soul.
Look, that's Rain. Look, that's Rain and Soul. That's Rain and the two Finas. There's Rain and Laswell. There's Laswell and Charlotte. There's Laswell and Fisali.
Wait,
Am I
there is
missing
Rain
anything?
and the two Finas? Colton, you seem very involved in the community. Can you tell us about Rain and the two Finas?
I'm not, I mean, like, have you
Hey, you
read,
were the one that said it.
have you played the season 2 story?
No, I have. Okay, I regret playing it, but I have played it. But okay, but the one thing that I liked about Shadow's story is that one of the things, obviously, a lot of people joke about is that Rain and Laswell are lovers. I don't know why people joke about it because they are obviously lovers. Like, I don't know what Muspel is talking about Soul. But it was a really nice story, Shadow. I'm really sad that you didn't read
Did you not
it.
see the scene where Soul died and Rain cradled him in his arms?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
but
there's
I mean,
also
like-
Laswell and Axstar. There's also Laswell and Zindo. Am I missing anything else now?
And they basically profess their undying love for each other.
So yeah, okay. So we got a taste of Shadow story. It's a beautiful romantic story about how like there is this passionate kiss, and they actually do realize they love each other and want to get married, which is a bit like good for the world as well, because both of them are regents for like opposing factions. So if they would get married, that would heal a lot of wounds. So I think that's like a great way forward.
Credit where credit's due, Bharos did pick one involving Laswell for Shadow.
Ah, that's true.
Of course.
But
I chose Shadow's biggest dream as his fanfic.
I shipped Laswell and Charlotte, so you got the right ship.
Laswell and Charlotte.
Yeah.
That doesn't
What?
make
How
sense.
could you?
You missed the
How can you
part.
ignore ff-xiii? She does not deserve that.
Physalis doesn't make sense, but Charlotte does.
But Physalis is super in love with Laswell. Come on.
Yeah, but Laswell's
I mean, even Morg is shipping that, alright?
Just because Physalis has the mental capacity of a 10-year-old.
Yeah. And Charlotte's
Yeah, that-
actually a capable, responsible woman who can carry herself. And
Yeah, but
Fine,
but
but
Physalis
what
has
about
that
Rain?
Mog for those racy threesomes.
What about Rain?
Like I bet that
Ignore
Moogle
poor
eats ass
Rain.
like nobody's business.
I'm gonna ignore that, but Rain, thing about Rain Laswell is that it's like they're technically brothers. Doesn't that bother anybody? Like no one?
Yeah, that's not cool.
Have you watched Have you watched the Flash TV series? Isn't Barry Allen and Iris technically siblings?
I don't watch CW, so.
Okay, so we heard about Shadow's beautiful, romantic, touching story about two men finding love. Now, we need to listen to someone else's. Like Muspel, you had a really interesting story. Could you tell us a bit about it?
I can't because I didn't read it.
No, but like okay, you can do the synopsis and tell us like what you think
What
it's
were the
about.
tags on
Like
it?
you can maybe make up a story that you think it's about based
There
on the
were not
tags.
any tags. All I saw was the title, which was Hunger. And then I looked away.
He's not even.
I think your story is actually really interesting because it also has like a bit of gothic in it. So yeah, like read us the tags.
Nope.
Yeah,
The Muspel actually has to find it.
Again, I feel like you're misunderstanding the bet.
Okay, I hear Muspel is backing out. That's fine. So Muspel's story was also about a love relationship that turns a bit dark as like both of them start drinking blood and like it becomes really gothic and nice. And I'm really sad that Muspel didn't read it because it was actually it wasn't also that long. Muspel.
I feel really good about my decision.
Again, this is all Cotton's fault that we're even in this situation because she couldn't get rid of her dignity.
All right, but you know what? I know the one person that didn't let me down.
Step one of this podcast is throwing away your dignity.
And I know that Cotton didn't let me down, but let's do her last. So, okay, I would say
Phrasing.
Hazard, you had a really interesting one. I want to like can you tell us a bit about yours? Did you actually read yours?
See, well, I was under the impression that Bharos episode would be more entertaining than what I could come up with. And so far, I'm not disappointed.
I think Hazard already left.
Hazard just left. No, he's actually reading his fanfic right now because he felt so bad about not reading it. So he's like, Hazard? Dad?
Sir?
Dad? Where you go?
I'm going out for cigarettes. I'll be right back.
God damn it. Okay. So Hazard is obviously like, beating the meat to the interesting stories we just talked about. So while he's fondling himself, can Dream tell us about your story?
This is the worst episode of all time.
Well, the first thing that I saw about the one Bharos sent me was word count 8,229. So, yeah, I was not keen on reading that for the start. And then I saw the tags, and I was like, I'm definitely not.
So tell us a bit about the tags.
Well, I'm just going to mention it's a Rain and Nickel pairing, which is probably like around the bottom of the list of what like makes sense.
No, I definitely see it. Nickel is definitely a bit of like the Dom, because he's a strategist. Like he knows what's about to go down, And Rain, he's the gullible, sweet summer child. He is the type of person that gets stuck in a washing machine, okay, and like needs help getting unstuck.
What?
What does that even mean? No. I'd actually no.
That
I
is
don't
a
want
very
to know.
God, Hazard,
interesting
you
analogy.
sweet summer child. Okay, so Dream, please continue.
Well,
So
and
Nickel and Rain.
for the rest, I'm just going to say it seems like it's very explicit, and I don't particularly want to read it, especially, and also weirdly specifically about bathing and washing. I will put the tag list in the chat for the others to see.
Fluff and smut comfort sex, reunion sex, season 2 spoilers. Oh man, if they didn't have that season 2 spoiler, I would have been spoiled of season 2.
Also, hey, how can you say it's weird being about bathing and washing? That's a really like sensual situation.
No, I just said weirdly specific.
Okay.
I have a feeling Bharos is trying to break us, okay?
No.
It
And
is
also
working. It is working.
And I definitely think that like Rain Nickel makes sense as a ship, because like I can see it. Like Nickel would take command,
So I have a suggestion that we do this again next month, except that this time Bharos is automatically disqualified.
Or at least I was thinking we could do it with like some handicap on the previous winner.
Well, first of all, I'm definitely not
and
winning
then
next
maybe
time.
a
No,
change
we
of
can't take
rule.
any chances. Bharos
Also-
is disqualified.
As one final thing, that a comment from Bharos that I don't want to come out of my mouth, but I will put it there for someone else to repeat if you want. And that should probably give you a pretty good idea.
I was just trying to tell you how explicit you can or cannot be, or like you don't have to be explicit. I was just trying to explain it to you.
And that's our episode, folks.
How many people do you think will lose out of this episode or gain?
You've lost me.
Listen. We're like 1 hour into the episode. You actually think someone listens to more than 20 minutes of our episodes? Nobody's ever gonna hear this. Come on.
I pray to God that happens.
Well, keep praying, Hazard, because your turn is up.
If anyone gets this far, please comment on the Reddit thread so that we know that there was a victim and we can send you some support in numbers to call.
So Hazard, are you gonna do yours, or do you or do you back out? Because it's perfectly fine to back out.
I mean, I read the title because I didn't know what you were sending me. I should have known what you were sending me. But I read the title, and it's basically Rain and Lastwell confirming everybody's theories in the most explicit and awful way possible. So yes.
Wait,
That's
am I
it.
the only one who didn't get smut?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, Cotton also got a very beautiful story.
No, mine had some,
yeah.
okay?
But you got a really beautiful story. I'm so sad that you actually didn't read yours.
No, mine was, it was, I think, probably the worst one.
So let's just say the title of yours, because I really thought it was powerful. It like woke things up inside of me. So the title is On the Throne.
I can imagine.
Make it stop. Also, I'm sensing a bit of a theme with like the type of stories that Bharos has chosen.
I don't blame, or rather, I don't judge another man's tastes, but I judge Bharos. I'm judging you
Okay,
so hard.
so since Hazard doesn't read this, I'm just gonna read the summary, which I think is fantastic. And
I really don't want to release this episode. I really don't want to do
The
this.
summary is, after the battle with Vlad, so Vlad is the season 2 final boss, when they had fallen into each other's arms that night for the first time since Rain had come to Palladia, he had sworn to himself that he would never take it for granted again. He would cherish every moment they spent together and do everything he possibly could.
Okay, Lemon, if you're listening to this part, please bleep him out now. Thank you.
No, but it's
Remember,
beautiful.
bleep
Stop,
out exactly
stop it.
what
It's
he
beautiful.
says right
he said
now.
he would
Just
cherish
bleep
every
out
moment
whatever
they
he
spent
says,
together
bleep over
and
me or
do
whatever.
everything he
Just don't let
possibly
him
could
talk.
to
And
bring
Bharos does not
Laswell
need to
the
talk. We do
happiness
not
and
need to hear
pleasure that he
Bharos.
deserved. Come on.
Do I
Like,
need
it's
to
a
keep
very
talking
nice thing.
over Bharos now?
This is the cotton train being used for good.
But then I
Okay,
like
yes, I
how
do
the
need to keep
author is
talking over
instead
Bharos
then
now.
being very
How long can I
honest
keep
with
talking over
themselves
Bharos?
in the notes, because the first sentence of the note is blatant porn because I wanted some. And now that's a person that I really can get behind, okay?
That's the last 2 words I read.
Those were Barris's exact thoughts when he chose this topic.
And you sent it to me, which I find highly offensive.
Oh, and you're right, Dream.
Keep
Dream
in
just
mind,
reminded me.
This is ostensibly a podcast about FFBE.
Oh, and Dream reminded me why I sent Muspel the story I sent him. Because, see, Muspel, can you tell us what 2 characters your fanfic was a ship of?
No, because I didn't read it.
Oh, come on. I specifically chose it for you.
Is it
think
Xuan
about
Wu?
it. No, it's not Xuan Wu.
I feel like
It's Esther, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
AI
It isn't.
Katie?
Xeno?
No, it's not AI Katie.
Xena.
AI Katie would be a... No, it's not Xena.
If you say Chow, you're instantly banned.
It's not Chao either. Jesus Christ, Dream. Come on,
Thank goodness.
I mean,
I'm
I'm sure there is, but I would never
I still
choose
had
that.
some hope for you that you weren't that
So-
low.
Is it Joaquin?
So Muspel's story was a ship between Laspel, and
Last
White Knight
Okay, last
Noel.
spell and last spell. That's maybe something that I can get behind, okay?
Hey, listen, it's Latswell and White Knight Noel. Huh? Isn't that a bit interesting? Doesn't that make you want to read it?
No.
I mean, come on, like,
No.
and they are like kind of vampires. Doesn't that sound really, really cool? I bet like you're all interested as fuck. You should actually check this out. Anyway, so now we did everyone except Cotton. Cotton, do you want to, like, I know you didn't disappoint us. I know you actually, like, at least briefed through yours. So tell us a bit about it.
It is basically a series of drabble stories between the love affair of Luca and Mercedes.
Interesting. Luca and Mercedes. I mean, like, both of them have an affinity for water.
I can see Shadow nodding away in the chat.
I mean, I predicted, so Dream, myself, Hazard, and Muspel all got MM stories. So I said Cotton must have gotten an FF story, and it was about Luca and Mercedes.
So there is one thing that I'm gonna say.
Technically, these
blatant
are
So
all
one thing that I
To be
want to
fair-
say that
to
I'm
be
very
fair, I have
disappointed
looked-
at.
To be fair, I have lurked in the fanart channel here, so I have been exposed to this ship.
Well,
See,
that specific
I thought it was
fan
actually a
art,
very nice ship.
that specific fan art, I love it. Just saying.
Yes.
And I thought this was a very nice ship.
Like,
Cotton
honestly,
got the
Barris,
nicest one.
why don't you send that one to me? Why don't you send that one to me? I might have actually read that.
Typical chauvinist pervert Dream. I knew it. It's like, oh, it's about lesbians. I want to read that. But 2 dudes sucking each other off? No, that's not okay. Man,
Moving on.
in 2020, you're going to pull this shit.
Your words. Your words.
These are your words.
But, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. It was something about the Cotton's ship.
Moving on.
Let's
We
hope
all
you continue to forget
established-
it.
We've all established that Bharos should never ever be allowed to choose a topic ever again. Okay?
Hey, we educated our listeners about the varying oh yeah, now I remember what I was supposed to say also. You know, so FFBE fanfic community. If any of you is listening, I'm a bit disappointed because, like, I didn't really see the variety I was looking for when I was looking for ships, okay? Like, we need to see some weird shit up in
Yeah,
there.
everyone. If we've learned anything from today's episode, it's that Barrow should always get what he wants.
Yes. Hey, I did not get what I wanted. I fucking took it, okay? I was like, this was a fucking shonen episode, okay? Day 1 of DV, I was crushed. Like, it was the episode where the protagonist meets, like, an overwhelming enemy, where basically the aura of the enemy makes the protagonist puke, and they're like, oh my god, I am so defeated. I will never win this.
I literally told you before
And
day 3 started.
then I
that
fucking
you would
went...
get first place if this continued at the same rate, because you had Regina and Zahn. And you were like, no, I don't think that's true.
No, listen.
And then you did.
I need to do my shonen analogy here. So after this crushing defeat of day 1, everyone was so far ahead of me. I was sucking dick on the magic stages. And all of us, not that sucking dick is a bad thing, sorry listeners. I was really performing badly on the magic stages. And then, like, I went to my sensei, you know, that's like the training part of the shonen. I went and like I trained, you know, I was doing
You
this.
went and took
like,
out your credit card.
No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I was doing the like I was trying to do my Rasengan, you know, like I was trying to get my Bankai out, okay? And then I fucking came back and I fucking destroyed it, okay? So I deserve this.
Can you deserve it by yourself alone somewhere? Because I don't want to hear it.
You only won because you have Regina and Zahn.
Oh, I've deserved it by myself alone several times already. So thank you everyone for this. Like this was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed listening about these different fanfics, and there are many more. So
least
those of
somebody
you that are
enjoyed it.
actually,
That makes one of us.
and I also want to say, like, if you're invested in the FFBE universe and you want to read more fanfics, and now I'm totally serious. There's a ton of really good fanfics, so do check them out. There's also a channel, Cotton.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wasn't aware there was a channel. Is it in the regular Discord?
What?
The fanfic channel.
Oh yeah, there is one here. Yep, in this way.
Well, not a fanfic. It's
Fan art.
creations, like
Oh,
fan
okay,
art
okay.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. So check that out.
I'm sure. I think people can post fanfic there too. Maybe I don't know.
No,
Yeah, and
it's
I'm
a
sure,
fan
like,
art
if you
channel.
But it's specifically safe for work fan art.
Yeah, but
And
I
that
mean, like, hey,
applies
if
to
you ask the
fanfics as well,
question
I
there,
guess.
you're gonna get some DMs. Okay.
So can you preemptively ban Bharos from that channel?
Oh,
I
what?
can.
I've never been in that channel.
I mean, you
didn't even know
could
it
Hazard
existed.
if you really want
And
to.
now you never will be.
If you
You
really
know-
want to, you could.
You know, I could have been doing so many other things this Friday evening, but I chose. I always choose to be on the podcast because I enjoy it. This is the first evening where I'm like, maybe I should have skipped out on it.
Wow, this is so unfair, you know? You all are being just sore fucking losers, okay? You're all being sore ass losers.
I mean, when we talked about picking a topic, we assumed there would be something like, you know, here's a unit that you want to talk about that everybody else doesn't.
Well,
Like
now
this,
we know.
Like this was my chance. This was my chance to inflict a discussion of Shadow Lord on everyone.
Yeah, but why would I want to talk about Shadow Lord when we could be talking about the lore of the FFBE universe?
That is not what we were talking about.
I mean, it's pretty close to what we were talking about.
It is definitely not.
It's close. I mean, it's about the characters from FFBE, okay? And, like, literally what we all are thinking about the characters in FFBE anyway. Because, like, look at fucking Noel.
No, we are not
shit looks
literally
evil
all
and
thinking
weird
it.
to begin with.
That's episode 19, everybody. Thanks. Have a good night.
Is this where I announce my retirement from the podcast?
This was actually Bharos' plan to kick like half of us out so he can replace us with like Nexus and Lemon next week.
No, it's
So-
gonna be like Nexus, Jim, Lemon, maybe some other degen like Tuna. Yeah, Tuna, I called you out.
Need to get
Tomato and like the
Tomato.
rest of the
Oof.
FFB blog into this.
Oh god, Tomato and Bharos on the same podcast. It's something I really want to see, and yet I don't want to see at the same time.
It would be like a feedback loop.
Can we put a Nexus there just for good fun?
I would love to have Nexus on, but he actually said no. So Nexus, hey,
Yeah, he
man the
did.
fuck up.
Wait, have we finished the episode actually? Are we in
Can
No,
we
the
Hazard
replace
hasn't done
Bharos
the
with
outro.
Nexus?
Hazard, you need to do the outro so we can do the outro music.
Can we replace Bharos with Nexus?
Do it as soon as possible.
Like permanently? No. I am fully confident that Nexus would be less of a degen.
I don't know. I really don't know about that.
I mean, we saw from last week that like your confidence was not well placed.
All right, Hazard, do the
old
outro.
man.
Just Hazard, do the outro. Get us
Long
out.
And
I gotta find the language.
end me.
Free us from this hell.
Yeah, Hazard, I'm sorry, like, I seem to have broken Hazard of all people, and I thought he was like a secret, you know, like I always thought Hazard was a bit of a degen, you know? He has always had this special relationship with GD2, and he's also in Okay, so also, another thing I want to just mention to all the dear listeners, every host of this podcast is a member of the Ultra Degen server, GD3.
Muspel isn't.
But
Muspel
I am
isn't.
not. Okay, so me and Muspel are the only non-degens then. See? Like, surprise,
I feel
surprise,
like this
motherfuckers.
is the Joker and Batman, and Bharos is the Joker, and he's always surprised that Batman isn't exactly like him.
Huh. An interesting analogy.
I'm an old man filled with regret.
And on that note, good night.
Good night,
And
everyone.
goodbye
Thanks for
forever.
listening.
I'm so sorry.
I think that's
I'm
the
so
outro.
sorry for everything. I really apologize for everything. Good night.